Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Luke here, and I'm back with a new video. Now, at the time of recording this, I just got out of the theater seeing the new Blair Witch, and in this video I'm going to do a little bit of an in-depth review of the movie, with not too many spoilers, talking about mainly what I liked and disliked about the movie. Now, what I did like about the movie was the director, which is Adam Wingard, and he is a really good horror movie director. If you've ever seen the movie You're Next, he directed that, and it's probably one of my favorite horror movies of this decade. In a previous video, I talked about how The Evil Dead was my favorite, but You're Next comes into a very close second. He also directed a vignette on the horror anthology VHS, and if you haven't seen VHS or even VHS 2, I highly recommend these movies. They're essentially just a series of horror shorts, or vignettes as I call them, jumbled up into one movie with a kind of essential theme behind them. But don't see the third one. The third one was kind of bad. But anyway, yeah, I really think that he really did well with this story. The Blair Witch is such an old and awesome, story that really scared a lot of people back then. But I really think that he did a good job of handling it. Now, as far as the story goes, I'm not going to give too much of the plot away, but I'm going to give like a bare bones kind of synopsis of it. So, the main character is the brother of the main character in the first movie, and he is essentially going out to find his sister after receiving some sort of quote-unquote concrete piece of evidence that he saw on YouTube about her. And he has a documentary team following him, which is a friend of his, and she is making a documentary film about him finding his sister. And so they go in the woods with the help of these two local people. And I mean, obviously, if you've seen any type of horror movie, you know that that's not going to be very good, because they're going to be in the woods with the Blair Witch. Now, it was really cool because I don't really remember much of the old one. I mean, I've seen it so many times, but it was really interesting how they talked about some new lore. At least I think it's new lore. I'm going to have to go back and watch the first one again. But they talked a little bit about some new things that I've never heard of. Kind of give more of a backstory to the Blair Witch, which is really interesting to me. And they really did a good job of the technology. I mean, obviously in 2016, found footage films are going to, embrace the new technological advances of cameras and whatnot. And I know back in the old movie was back in 1999, they really didn't have much. They just had handheld camcorders, especially when you're talking about a found footage movie. But they did use like a drone, which was kind of useless. Especially into the plot of the story. They really only used it to try and find their way out of the woods, which didn't work out so well. But they had like earpiece cameras and the drone, and they had some webcams set up, or not really webcams, but they were essentially webcams set up like almost like trail cams around with night vision. And that was a really cool idea to embrace that type of technology when you're talking about a story like the Blair Witch. Now, which was even a very awesome part of the movie, which was the part where they go into the house. Now, like I said, I'm not going to give too much away, but essentially when they go into the house, that's probably the best part of the entire movie. And it's, about middle towards the end. And it's just very heart-pounding, just terror, and, just exactly like the first one. I mean, it builds up until they get to the house, and then, they go into the basement, and that's where they die. But in this one, it builds up in the beginning. There's some tension, but then it also just completely just unravels inside the house, and it's just very scary moments. And it's really even cool because you actually get to see the Blair Witch. I'm not going to go much into detail about her, but essentially, we finally get to see a little bit of what she looks like, and it's what I explained to my friends is it's very terrifying. It's absolutely shit-pantsingly scary, if that's a word. It's not, but whatever. The only thing that I really didn't enjoy about the movie was the amount of jump scares. Now, there was only like 3 or 4, and I know that, jump scares are a staple point in horror movies, and more so found footage horror movies, but I really didn't like the jump scares in this movie. Especially in one particular scene where there's literally like 2 back-to-back, and it was just, I get it. You're trying to build more tension, and it was towards the beginning of the movie, so it wasn't like, when it was at the end, which, like I've said, was the best part of the movie. It wasn't at the end where you're already terrified, just throw a jump scare in there. But they're trying to build more and more tension, so I get that. But I mean, I could do without the jump scares. You know, I could just deal with more of the horror, the tension. But honestly, I think this movie was like I said, very scary. And the production design was really cool. I mean, like I said, with the house, there was really much only about the basement of the house we saw in the first one. But I mean, they really did a good job of navigating this entire house and really exploring the different themes that were explained in the first one and bringing it back into the house. But overall, I think that this was a very well done horror movie, and it really did a great job of adding to the Blair Witch story. Which, I mean, if you've seen the second one, please don't, because it's not good. So if you're gonna watch the Blair Witch, watch the first one and then literally watch this one, because they're both very great horror movies, and they both tie into each other, not like the Book of Shadows or whatever the hell the second one was called. It was really bad. I'm sorry whoever likes it, but you know you're wrong if you like it. But honestly, I kind of hope that they kind of continue this. Not really sure where they could go with the Blair Witch story, and honestly, even if they didn't, I'd be happy with just finally actually getting a great Blair Witch sequel. And it was about 10 years in the making, and I'm really excited that I got to see it, and hopefully I get to see it again. But I give this movie about an 8 out of 10, which I really don't go that high for horror movies, and I even gave Don't Breathe a 7 out of 10, but I was more excited for the Blair Witch than I was Don't Breathe. So, and I even, I first saw the Woods trailer. I saw it when it was called The Woods, and then when they announced it as the Blair Witch, and that was pretty much the only time I saw the trailers. I made a point to turn off any commercial, any ad for the Blair Witch, because I wanted to be blind going into this movie, and it really did not disappoint. It really did well to best my expectations of it. Real knock out of the park, and very, 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 very pleased with what I saw. So yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the Blair Witch. I'd like to know if you guys saw it yet, and if you did, what did you think about it? What didn't you like about it? So we can open a dialogue about this, because honestly, I really thought it was a very great horror movie. Probably one of the best of the year, which there wasn't really much to go off of. I mean, Don't Breathe and this were the only things that I can think of, and it's kind of a toss-up, but I'd have to give it to the Blair Witch because I was more excited for it. So yeah, if you would, give this video a like, even a subscription would be even, nice. That'd be great. Maybe even share the video. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you guys later, and thanks.